All right, what's going on, everybody? It's a nice, hot, muggy, rainy day here in central North Carolina, and I figured since I'm not out on the water today, I'd give y'all a little reel comparison between the Shimano Stradic, which I've got the Shimano Stradic 3000 FK and the Shimano Stradic 4000 FL here, and also the Daiwa Saltist Back Bay, which I have in a 3000 size here. So this isn't going to be like a tell you the specs of these reels and all that. You can find that information out online. You know, there's plenty of YouTube videos about it, and you can find it just on the dealers' websites. What I wanted to do is give you a breakdown of what I think each one of these reels is great at, and some of the things that it may not be the best at, and also just help you guys if you're trying to decide between, well, I'm looking at a Saltist Back Bay or a Stradic, which one might be better suited for your type of fishing. So we'll start with the Saltist Back Bay here. I've had this reel for about 1 year now. When I bought this reel, I had seen a review that said this was the smoothest reel the guy had ever held, and he does a lot of reel reviews. So being that I'd had my Stradic for about 3 years, I was like, well, if that Back Bay is smoother than my Stradic, I want to give it a try, and I want to test it out. I bought the reel, ordered it, so I didn't actually feel it before I bought it. When it came in, I grabbed a hold of it, and the first thing I thought was, that's heavier than I wanted it to be. It's a lot heavier than my Stradic, and that's the number one thing that I think hurts the Back Bay in certain situations where I use my Stradic instead. The Back Bay, what I use it for, and since I got it, I've played around with it a little bit, and I found a rod that it pairs up very well with, and that the weight doesn't make a huge difference on. I bought a 7-foot medium heavy action Jigging World Nexus rod, which is rated 1 to 4 ounces, and I put this Saltist Back Bay on it. The primary thing that I use this combo for is anywhere in the salt water that I am going to be possibly dunking or submerging, or this reel is going to get a lot of splash, such as surf casting. I use it for surf casting bucktails anywhere from a 1/2 ounce to 2 ounce for flounder, where I'm throwing a bucktail with like a 4-inch gulp or something on it in the surf. That's what I use my Saltist Back Bay for, and that Jigging World Nexus rod. I also use it for fishing around heavy cover for sheep's head, black drum, big redfish, that kind of stuff. Something where I'm dropping a 1 to 2 ounce bottom sweeper jig head, or a 1 to 2 ounce double hook bottom rig with like a sand flea or a crab on it, trying to catch those sheep's head and black drum. That's where the Saltist Back Bay, in my opinion, excels. If I was going to be going offshore like in a kayak or even in a boat where it's going to get splashed or dunked going through the surf zone, I'm going to take the Saltist Back Bay over the Stradic all day long because of that mag seal technology, which is Daiwa's waterproofing technology. It helps keep that salt water out and keep this reel functioning like it should. All right, moving on to the Shimano Stradic. Like I said, I've got the FK 3000 and I've got the FL 4000. These two are both great reels. The FL being the newer model of the FK. The FL is a little bit smoother than the FK, and it casts better because it's got that new long stroke spool, which makes it cast further and smoother. Now, you can find the Shimano Stradic brand new on some websites like eBay and that kind of stuff for 140 bucks right now. If I was gonna do it over again, I would buy another FK for 140 bucks instead of spending 220 on an FL. It's a great reel. There's no issues with it, and I'd save my $80 to put into something else like a rod or something like that. However, that FL is nice. It's smooth, and it's got that long stroke spool, which helps it cast forever. The FK casts really well too. I don't want you, you know, you might get 10 or 15 more yards out of the FL than the FK. What I use my Stradic for, I live in central North Carolina, so I do more freshwater fishing than saltwater, but saltwater is what I really like to do. Down in the coast, what I'll use it for is inshore fishing, where I'm throwing like 1/8 ounce to 1/2 ounce jig heads with like diesel minnow swim baits or gulp shrimp on them, anything like that. Some type of light presentation that I'm gonna be casting all day. The weight of this reel is far greater than the Back Bay for doing that type of fishing, where you're casting all day, you're casting real light jig heads, you're gonna get wore out casting the Back Bay a lot quicker than the Stradic. I've got my Stradic 3000 paired with a 7'6" Lew's M2 M-Shore rod, which is rated like a 1/4 ounce to 1 ounce. That's a great combo. It's real light. I've actually put my back bay on that rod, and the back bay is too heavy for that rod. It doesn't balance well. Same thing with my Stradic though. I've put my Stradic on that Jigging World Nexus rod, and it's too light for that rod. It doesn't have a good feel or balance to it. I've caught up to 32-inch redfish on this 3000 Stradic, and it handled them like a dream. No issues. The drag's super smooth. I wasn't afraid of them spooling me or anything like that. I had plenty of control over the fish, and it was a good fight, but I never had an issue with them. I've got 20-pound braid on this Stradic 3000, and I've got 30-pound braid on this Saltist Back Bay just because I use it around cover, and I wanted a little bit stronger line. I've caught like 15-pound black drum on this back bay, and on that Nexus rod, I think that black drum ran with line for maybe 2 seconds one time, and that was it. That is a very strong combo, that Jigging World rod and that Saltist Back Bay. Also, with my freshwater fishing, I end up using my Stradic a lot more. That would be a phenomenal bass fishing reel or crappie fishing, anything like that, just because it's super light, super smooth, easy to cast, all that kind of stuff. What I primarily do in freshwater is striper fishing, and I've caught 28 to 30-inch striper in current, like up around a dam, and reeled them in, no issues with that Stradic. I normally end up throwing like 1/2 ounce swim baits or bucktails, blade baits, that kind of stuff. That's normally what I end up throwing with my Stradic when I'm inshore. Also, like Rapala shatter wrap jerk baits, I throw those a lot with it. Again, both of these are great reels. I say that all three of these are fantastic reels. You're not going to go wrong buying any of these reels. They're all right there around the $200 range, and they're all phenomenal reels. They'll all work great for whatever you want them to do. This is just my opinion and the breakdown of what I think these reels are great at. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, leave me a comment. Thanks, guys.